Okay, welcome to In Progress with Kara, and today we are looking at how to make this beautiful plaid tote bag. It's got sides, it's got plaid, it is the absolute perfect size to hold a MacBook. Now, when I was designing this bag, I had previously made this purple bag, and I wanted to mimic the construction, but I wanted the sides to be a lot more narrow. I was looking for 2 inches on the sides, and the original bag was 5 inches on the sides, so I had to do a lot of math to bring myself back to figure out how to reconstruct the bag so it would be the right width. Now, I also didn't want to just have one fabric on the outside. I wanted it to have this plaid fabric as well. So I also had to do math to figure out how to add plaid to the side to still get my 30 by 13.5 fabric. But then to see how much plaid I could add in, which was 6 inches on both sides, and then also add in seam allowance for everything. So here I am doing all that math, which was sped up because it really took me like half an hour. So here is our final measurements for the outside fabric. That'll obviously get smaller when we sew all the sides together. You're also going to want to cut out some straps at 4 by 60 inches. 60 is the width of a standard Bolta fabric, so you don't really have to measure those. Interfacing is a little bit more narrow, 26 inches. And then the lining will also be the same amount as the interfacing. And now I'm going to show you how to iron the straps. Now, straps we want to have super thick because we want to be able to just grab it and not even worry about how strong the bag is. So I ironed a kink out of the canvas. Now I'm going to fold that 4-inch strip in half and really give it a solid press down the middle. Now from those halves, fold one of the sides into the middle. We're going to end up with it folded into fourths, and then really press down that seam that you're going to create by folding. You can see here, do it on both and they all come together, and now you're ready to sew down each of the sides. But there's a trick to it. Yes. See, you might think you're sewing, but if you haven't checked if there's any bobbin thread, you're not sewing at all. So we have to take out our strap and actually thread the bobbin. That's a really important thing to do when you're using a sewing machine. Moment of silence. All right, now you can see there's a bobbin in there. Let's try this again. Put it under, put your presser foot down, go ahead, get your needle started in, go forward. I like to do a little bit of back stitching just to be safe. Check, yep, we're sewing. So now you can go down both sides of that strap to really secure it into place. Now I'm going to start piecing together the outside. We have our 5 pieces and just line them up one by one, and you're going to sew each side together one at a time. We're going to kind of go fast through this process so you can see me lining up the first 2 pieces. And where I'm pinning there with my clips, I'm going to sew 1 line down. And ta-da, it's done. I'm folding it out to make sure I like how it looks. I do. I'm also folding it out to make sure that when I line up the next fabric on it, all my seams are going to be facing the same direction. They are. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to fold it back over and get these 2 pieces pinned up together and ready to sew another straight line across. These clips are great. I find them much easier to use than pins, especially with something heavy like canvas. It's just so much simpler. And now let us fast forward to the future. everything is sewn together. So give that a really good pressing down to get all of those seams going the way you want them to go. Ta-da, you have a beautiful outer fabric ready to turn into a bag. You can already see how we're going to kind of fold it in half. Now I am going to pin the straps. When I say pin, I mean clip. I'm going to clip the straps down to the bag. And I'm using the plaid as a guide. And now they're sewn, you can see on the side. I've sewn both of them down. So the next step in piecing this bag together is to add the interfacing on. First, sew it down one side. Now you're going to sew it down the other side. And it is both of the outside fabric are facing each other. Now with both of those sewn, we are going to work on making a really crisp, nice line with some top stitching across the top of our bag. Feel free to iron here if you also want it to be pressing down a little firmer. You're just going to do one line across the top of each bag and take care around those handles. They're going to be pretty thick there. So go ahead and finish that on both sides. And now you can see a little bit more of how this bag is going to come together. So let's start working on the sides of the bag. I am measuring 2 inches out and marking that with chalk on the outside. You're going to want to do that to both sides of the bag. And I'm using this time too to just kind of clean up some of my edges where they're not all lining up correctly. Fold those in and probably iron on too if you want. And now you're going to sew a straight line on the outside there on both of the sides. This will give the bag a lot more structure and it kind of looks like a seam without actually having to seam anything. So let's start working on where the sides are going to meet each other. Fold the bag in half and pull out on both sides. Take a lot of time to make sure you like where your fabric is meeting up with each other because this will determine where that happens in the end. Yep, and now sew down all those sides. You can see I kind of messed up here, and that's okay. Since we're doing French seams, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess. Now I'm going to turn the bag inside out to finish up that French seam. Press it flat. I like to also go in here and feel where the seam ends so I can know where to sew. You can see now I have sewn through the edge and I can turn it back around and it's pretty much looking like a bag. We just have to finish up these corners. The original pattern had me making box corners and those ended up being really difficult with the size of the corners. I think to do it again, I would have not done the French seams and I just would have made that box corner on the inside, so there would have been a lot less bulk and I don't think you really would have noticed in the bag. Like I would have been fine seeing those exposed corners on the bottom. But here I finished up the corners anyway. They're pretty tight. It's pretty hard to do. It almost broke my scissors. But once you turn this bag inside out, there you have it. You're done. You have made your plaid tote bag. This one does perfectly fit my MacBook just like I wanted. And I love it and I think it's perfect. And I think you're perfect too. Bye!